Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where professionals in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. And today we have Carolyn Pope in the studio. She's an animal communicator and therapist, and we are going to be talking about the art of animal communication. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you. Now, can anybody communicate with animals?
Absolutely. We are all born with the ability to communicate. Communication is telepathics. Tele is distance, pathics is feeling. So essentially it's feeling over a distance. We're all born with the ability. A mother takes her baby into the hospital and says there's something wrong with my baby. The doctors and nurses always listen because most of the time there is. Identical twins, one just knowing what the other's doing, that's been documented throughout history. It's all telepathics. But of course, from the baby's perspective, unless it's actually dying, telepathics really don't get validated. Then the child says its first word, mom or dad or whatever. Everyone makes a fuss. So the child learns verbalizing gets my needs met, telepathics not so much. Then they get that bit older and they might say the pony's got a stomach ache or the dog's got a headache. And often parents will either punish the child for lying or make fun of them. Don't be silly, horses can't talk. So of course you start shutting down on one and building up on the other. And telepathics is like any muscle. You don't use it, you lose it.
And how can we communicate with animals?
Clear mind, always a good thing. People that meditate, I don't, often find that helpful. Water's really important because you're using your energetic field. It's electromagnetic. Think of the snowy hydro scheme. The more water you drink, the easier it is. As a coffee addict, I really struggled with that in the beginning. But also don't start with your own animals. Start with someone else's because you need to remain detached in order to know what you're getting is from that particular animal and not from yourself. It's like doctors don't treat their own children. Clairvoyants never read for themselves. You need that detachment, particularly when you're starting, and you also need honest feedback so you know whether you're on the right track or not.
Do you have any examples of animal communication that you could share?
Absolutely. Very first, when I'd read the book, I actually started by reading a book back in the mid-90s called, surprise, surprise, Communicating with Animals by a guy called Arthur Myers, who was a journalist. Went down the horse paddock and the first horse I saw told me it wanted clean water. I looked in the trough, there was nothing there. I spent 2.5 years working every day, giving myself a migraine from hell quite often before I got anything else. And every time that horse walked by me, if he was on the lead rope, he'd plant his feet, stop and eyeball me. I'd love to know what the poor guy was trying to get through. Never got through anything again. One horse I worked with, the owner had called me as the last resort. The horse twice a year would blow up massively with fluid. It was down at the Werribee Vet School. It actually had to have a tracheotomy to keep breathing. That's how much fluid we're talking. They were feeding it bananas by the dozen because they were having to give it so much Frutix or furosemide diuretics to get rid of the fluid that it was losing all its potassium. They were going to euthanize it. Again, this was before internet. She literally pulled out a whole trolley full of vet notes. Started talking with the mare and the first thing she showed me was her foal and then said, problem's been since then. And the owners went, oh my God, she's never come back in season since she had the foal. And then they realised that the twice a year she was having the problem was actually when horses come in season twice a year. And it was when this was happening. A craniosacral therapy session this was before I did it, from the lovely Deb Lee, and a couple of bottles of she oak, the Australian bushflower essence, and the mare never had a problem again. Craniosacral therapy was derived from osteopathy, I think about 35, 40 years ago, but don't quote me on the dates. There was a couple of different people that discovered it, but basically your cranio is your cranium, sacral is your sacrum. The craniosacral rhythm can be felt anywhere on the body. You've got your heart rate, you've got your respiratory rate, you've got your cranial rhythm. CST as it's called, craniosacral, CST for short, much easier for most people. Works on the limbic system in the brain, so the emotional part of the brain. The most pressure you're putting on a body is literally that of a 5-cent piece. And then it's basically that whole doing and non-doing. The body's got its own wisdom. It knows what it needs. And quite often what a practitioner thinks the body needs versus what the body actually needs is a little bit like the Montagues and the Capulets. So you're simply allowing the body to unwind. And that's what I love about it. You'll have physical releases, you'll have emotional releases. Animals can process for 2 to 3 days afterwards, and the results really are profound. And yet it's so gentle, you can do it on a newborn.
And could you give us some tips on how we can communicate with animals?
Think of, for most people, I think they find the proverbial thought bubble, you know, the little cartoon bubbles, putting a thought in there and throwing it at the animal. And whatever you get back first, that very instantaneous, that's communication. Quite often when I'm talking with an animal, the owner will get as far as, did he, do they? I've already got the answer, yes or no, because a thought is instantaneous. Trying to put words to something, particularly if it's an important concept, can take you a second or two. And of course, the thoughts being so instantaneous, it's trust your gut. That's the biggest thing. And whatever comes into your mind first, don't try and do the logical right brain versus left brain argument. You only wind up with a headache. Trust that gut. Whatever you get instantaneously and first is right. Every time.
Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us. That was fascinating. If you want more information on Carolyn Pope and the art of animal communication, head to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. Stay with us after the break, another interesting guest with an exciting topic. Stay tuned. After the break, health coach and author Kaveri Sequeira is talking about what is the human diet.
Welcome back, and our next guest is Kaveri Sequeira, a certified health coach and author, and she's here with us today to talk about the human diet. So Kaveri, welcome.
Thank you, Linda. Really happy to be here.
So Kaveri, the human diet, we're all humans. So what do you mean by the human diet in this case?
So the human diet, Linda, is essentially the diet that Homo sapiens evolved to eat 250,000 years ago. So as elephants, every species on Earth have their own diet. So the elephants have their own specific diet that they eat, which is grass and a lot of leaves. The ants have their own diet. Different bird species have their own diet. So the human race, as we evolved, also had their own diet. Now the diet can be observed when we observe the last hunter-gatherer race in the world, who are the Hadza people in Africa. And they, till today, go and hunt and gather their own food. So when we observe them, we've seen what they eat, and it is essentially, hunting for meat, fish, a lot of fruits and vegetables, nuts and honey, and a lot of water. Because essentially we need about 7 to 8 glasses of water a day to be hydrated. So that is essentially what the human diet consists of. And unfortunately, in today's modern world, we are not following the human diet, and that is why we have a lot of issues with disease and like type 2 diabetes and lifestyle associated disease, because we've kind of veered away from that human diet. So my quest is to let people know of how, about it, so they're more aware of what it is, and then they can actually, have overall a healthier lifestyle. Now, when I started following the human diet, close to like 3 years ago, I was a completely different person prior to that. Like now, after I started following that healthier lifestyle, I released about 15 kilos because my body felt it was time to let go of all that excess weight, because my body felt healed and supported. I eat I have so much more energy, so much more flexibility, so much more mental clarity to do the work and that I love and help people. And essentially, it's something that I very, very much believe in.
So then you talked about how it benefited you. What other benefits come from eating a human diet?
Yes, so again, to look at the benefits, if we go back to observing the Hatsa people, that particular community has no disease like lifestyle disease that we have today, like obesity and type 2 diabetes, that doesn't exist because they're also like super fit. And because they have to run like 20 kilometers a day to catch their food. So they're doing their 10,000 steps easily. And the women gather stuff and the men hunt, Unfortunately, in this day and age, we're not doing that. And so it's clearly eating that natural diet is certainly helping them with that health and fitness. The food that we eat in the modern world today, on the other hand, has got like processed stuff, chemicals, a lot of additives, just not real food. And that's causing all the, the problems that we are having in today's world. Plus, we're not moving enough. We're not hunting and gathering our own food, and yet we're eating, 3 meals a day which is not sort of giving us the nourishment that we need. So so following the human diet will essentially help you get the benefits of better overall health. You have amazing energy levels, you have mental clarity to actually live the life that you deserve and dream about. You're not, sitting at the doctors, and popping medicines because you're eating what you were evolved to eat as a Homo sapien. So those are some of the benefits. And also eating that way naturally from nature, what's available in nature will help boost your immune system as well, which is a big thing that results in a better, healthier lifestyle. So those are the benefits, and I think it's really valuable.
So Kaveri, then from all that beautiful information, what is the top advice that our viewers could take away with them today?
Sure. So whilst we can't hunt and gather our own food like the Hatsa people, there's certainly things that we can do to have a better human diet and a more natural diet to lead to a healthier lifestyle. Some things that you could do is source your food from an organic food store, so you know where your meat and your fruit and your vegetables are coming, because we deserve that. We deserve to have a better, healthy lifestyle. So it'll be great if we could start voting with our money and actually buy food that's actually good for us. The second thing you could do is, and a lot of people are doing that these days, is having an edible garden. Grow your own food, and you know exactly where your food's going to come from. You can eat more seasonally, so you can buy fruit and vegetables that are in season, and that's actually going to help you. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be great for you. And this is my big one. Like if you go and buy a package and it's got like 15 ingredients at the back, look at the ingredients is my first tip. And if you go and you find 15 ingredients at the back, I can tell you that is not going to be very good for you, because it's probably got a lot of processed stuff and chemicals and all that not cool stuff in it. And you want to be veering away from that if you want to have a better, healthier lifestyle.
Thank you, Kaveri. And for more information on Kaveri and the human diet, then please go to her webpage on our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and we'll go to break and be back afterwards with more amazing guests.
Stay tuned. After the break, yoga for wellbeing instructor and author Pauline Rooney is talking about chair yoga.
Welcome back. And now we have Pauline Rooney back with us, our Yoga for Wellbeing instructor and author. And today the topic is chair yoga. So Pauline, welcome.
Thanks, Linda. It's lovely to be back.
And chair yoga, how is that? What does chair yoga entail?
That's a really great question, and it's something that many people get confused about and wonder if it's the same, or, well, it's not the same, but it is. That's a bit of a contradiction. If you can do a posture on the floor, you can do it in a chair. And the advantage of doing yoga in a chair is you might have had an injury, you might not feel like getting onto the floor, you may not have the space to get onto the floor, or you might be a little bit more gorgeous in years, so therefore you're unable to get onto the floor. But yoga is all about the three. It's the breathing, it's the posture, and it is the mindset. So therefore, if you can have those three on a mat, you can have those three on a chair. It's very simple to do the same types of things. If you do a back bend on a mat, you can do a back bend on a chair. And it's a matter of same principle. You lift, you extend your spine, and you take your sternum back. A back bend's not leaning back. It's lifting and leaning the spine backward. So therefore, we can do that on a chair. We can do our spinal twists on a chair. Just like that. You'd always do it to both sides. Even to the triangle poses in the standing, we won't stand, but you hang on to your chair. I'm a great believer in safety, Linda. If you're on wheels, you must lock them down or have your chair very secure. Safety's paramount. So you'd come out the side of your chair, checking the shoulders not up, that it's down, and you'd ease out like that. Now that's a lateral or a side bend to your spine. Same as on the floor. You do that on both sides, you see. So it keeps the body moving. Any movement is good movement. We don't just do the movement and forget about our breath and our mind application to it. So we would say breathe in and turn and breathe out, and then breathe naturally, and then breathe in and coming back, and then breathe out. So your breath movement is the same on the mat as it is in a chair. Forward bends, we can bring the legs out a little bit and stretch our spine. You'd never arch up because you wouldn't do that on the mat. So you extend and you come forward. Ankle work. How often have we heard, oh, my ankles are weak and I find it hard to balance or to walk? In your chair, circle your ankles. You'd go both ways and you'd do both ankles, and just that very gentle movement, that will help. The other one that I really like for bone density, hands back on the chair, right foot always slightly forward, and that has to do with the positioning of lifting. When you see people standing, they often come forward and lift like that. That's too much strain. So by putting that foot forward, holding your chair back, you lift from there. It's a straight lift. You can come straight up to stand. But that's enough work. Even if you're unable to lift, you can still push like that. You're still getting the bone density work in your arms. So it's a matter of modifying, but creating the same outcome. It's the outcome, it's the intent, your breath, your mindset. Again, you keep your mind focused. If you're on the mat, you're internalizing what you're doing, your breathing, your posture, your alignment. It's exactly the same on the chair. You're not thinking about anything else. You're really working into that body part. The other one, we often hear people say, oh, but what about our heart rate, the cardiovasculars? We've got that covered in chair yoga and mat yoga. And I like to call this a tushy swoosh, because we're going to hang on and swoosh our tushy from side to side. Slow is great, or you can go quite fast. You're safe because you're not standing up and what have you, and your cardiovasculars will pump along quite nicely. So there's many of those types of things. You can hang onto your chair and move your feet back and forward. Again, that is fantastic for the ankles, the knees, the hip, also the abdomen, because you're lifting to bring your legs out, so that's working there too. There's many, many things we can do in that chair. All of these will help us in balance, and we all know that we need to balance when we're on our feet. So lifting the leg and extending and swinging back like that, you're strengthening your hip joint area. And therefore, of course, that helps when you stand up, the strength in the hip joint.
So I suppose with people especially with ongoing over the last several years, with more work being done on computers, from work from home, online, no matter what the age group, I suppose that this is something that people can think about when they're having even during the work.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. This covers right across the range. Children, they're on games, and the average time for children under the age of 16 is 8 hours, and that's a lot of screen time on top of their schooling time, right? And then I think at 16 and over it becomes 15 hours and more. That I'd be very conservative in saying that. And if they're gaming or chatting to friends, they too can do this, and they don't even realise that they're doing something great for their body. You know, it's really important. And I must say, I notice that both of us smile, and that's a really good thing to do too, because it takes about 16 muscles to smile and 32 to frown. So it's very harsh on the face if you're frowning a little bit too much. So smiling is good. It also changes the mindset, right? So if you're feeling a bit sad and you're sitting there feeling, I'm sad, it doesn't do the mind, the body any good, Linda. So a big smile and a big breath and a little movement will change your day completely. It's really important. And teach our children to do these things. If they can learn at a very early age that it's simple to do, because they're busy. We're all busy. We don't always have time to get onto the mat every day. We might go to a class, but if we do something every day in the chair, we would notice a huge difference. It'd be fantastic.
What would your best advice be for people could take with them today?
Oh, the best tip I could give is what I call juicing up your knees. And our knees get stiff and sore. This one, you blow into your hands, rub them, have your fingers down because that helps to warm up more quickly. Warm them up, cup your hands. We just have the lightly over there, and it's like a figure 8 lying down, and we move our knees around like that about 7 times. That's all you need to do, and then go back the other way. And I can pretty much guarantee you're going to find a huge difference in those knees. They're going to love you so much for juicing them up. It's amazing. If you're in the garden or sitting, anything like that, it's fantastic.
Wonderful. Thanks, Pauline.
You're very welcome.
And we'll be back next week with more amazing guests. But in the meantime, for more about Pauline Rooney and yoga for well-being, and particularly chair yoga, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And we'll see you next week.
If you'd like to know more about our show, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.